Hello and welcome back to Sigma TV. With me today we have Mike Karim, CEO of Spinout company Oxford Endovascular. Hi Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Great to meet you, Jeremy. A pleasure to be here.
Yes, and it's great to have you, Mike. So let's get straight into the interview. After many years of working for companies like Boston Scientific and Hardware Incorporated, what was it that really enticed you to join a spinout from the Oxford University?
That's a great question, Jeremy. I've always been interested in innovation, taking new technologies to different markets around the world. I'm a great believer in healthcare. I'd started before, actually. I went into med devices, was very interested in medicine. I studied medicine at university. Um, and even with the companies like Boston Scientific, when I joined them, they were actually pretty much kind of startups in Europe, just coming over from the US. And the divisions that I worked with were actually fairly small. So that gave me the great opportunity to develop processes, procedures, ways of doing things, creating a culture, and that sort of thing. So I've always worked in that kind of environment. But having built a lot of experience working in many markets around the world and developing business expertise, the opportunity really came to me, I guess. You work in this environment, people hear about what you've done, if you've been successful. And the University of Oxford just phoned me up one day and said, we've got this great technology that two professors have been working on to treat brain aneurysms. It's a flow diverter concept. It's at the bench stage. It's had a few years behind it, but we really need to understand, could it be a viable commercial technology? And we understand you have experience doing that. So, they approached me. Interestingly, I knew one of the professors from 10 years before, Professor James Byrne. He's one of the world's leading neurointerventional radiologists. He pioneered the profession and pioneered one of the gold standard treatments. So I thought, well, if he's involved in this, it must be good. Let me take a look. And then I saw it had a great opportunity, needed money behind it, needed to build a team and a company. So before spinning the company out, I worked in my own time, along with another colleague of mine, for about a year and a half, getting it ready to spin out, getting to know the professors, getting to know how a university works and creates a spin, all of that. So, but yeah, really the innovation is what excites me. Yeah.
Well, it's obviously it must be a very good feeling being headhunted by such a well-known university as Oxford, and obviously you get to work with all these incredible people. However, I'm sure there are some challenges when it comes to spin-out companies. Can you just tell us a bit about these challenges, and have there been any unique challenges that have come up because of COVID-19?
So I think the journey of developing a startup and a spin out has many challenges. So I think if you don't like a challenge, don't go near it. If you love challenges, then I think you will find it exciting. And of course, there are common challenges such as fundraising. Getting the money in to develop a company is a constant challenge. You fundraise, you close a funding round, and then you're working on the next one. So it's an ongoing process. So if you enjoy selling yourself and the company and the technology, you're always going to be doing that. So it's kind of a sales role in that sense, but you're building networks. So these are common challenges. I actually enjoy that kind of a challenge, so it probably suits me. But then, of course, who would have known that the COVID-19 situation, if we go back to last year, who would have known that that's what we would face? Nobody could have really predicted the implications of that. So that was a huge shock to everybody. And as a startup, you are, particularly vulnerable because you're trying to raise money. you're working with a small team. Every person's role is absolutely vital. So you need people to be able to work together well. You need people to be healthy. You're trying to keep the money going, and you're trying to keep your development going. You don't have lots of savings in the bank for a rainy day. That just does not exist when you're a startup. So, the COVID-19 situation brought with it many, many challenges. On the other hand, the technology of being able to meet virtually, as you and I are doing now, I think that has been a big savior, because without this, many meetings could not take place. Businesses, probably even more than have already happened, would have gone under. And ironically, what I have found is that I've been able to build my network. I've been able to build more investor relationships than probably I would have done before, because I don't have to travel to the meetings. I can maybe attend 2 or 3 meetings in a day now, whereas it would have been maybe one, to make the journey. I can attend conferences where people from around the world are joining, whereas before it may have just been Europe. But now I can access China, I can access the US and other markets. So that's been some benefits from that. From a team and company perspective, we knew that a lockdown would be coming in the UK. We predicted that. And 2 weeks before, one of the things we did, we had a team meeting, and the team actually came up with a better way of working, relocating a lot of the equipment, the development equipment, to their homes. Fortunately, their partners, their families were understanding of this situation, and that allowed us to carry on our development work. We didn't stop. And we introduced social distancing measures, safe measures in our lab and our office, restricting it to 2 people at any one time. We set up daily team briefings via Zoom, and that's worked very well. People adapted very well. I think being a small team has really helped that, and having people with the right attitude, a can-do attitude, has allowed us to work like that. So I think being nimble, being able to adapt to the different government restrictions that come in, all of these have been challenges, but we've been able to overcome those. Now we're working on preclinical development at the moment, and that has meant we've had to travel to locations abroad to do tests with test labs. And that has been a challenge, because some countries have been accessible, some have not, or you've had to find a window of maybe 2 weeks where you can get. And of course, in certain situations, you have to get a COVID-19 test before you go or when you get there, and then that takes time, and you've got to fit your work into that. We had a situation where we knew we had to go and do some preclinical work. The testing in the UK is not available for people unless you have symptoms. So our team were healthy. So we had to find a location that could do a test. We would have to pay for it. And again, that's extra resources required. Turn it around within a period of time and still be a valid test for when you land in another country. So that was a big challenge that we had to work through and do that. And that required a lot of quite a few days of planning and taking time out to do it, but we managed to do it. We achieved it, came back, and it was successful. So, these are things we never would have thought we would encounter last year. So, but on the whole, I think our team have done very well to overcome many, many challenges. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's interesting that you mentioned that, because before you focused a bit on investment, and now you talked about how your team has really been quite in sync, and there seems to be a natural chemistry. And this has been shown very clearly in the fact that you guys successfully won a Horizon 2020 grant back in 2019. Could you tell us a bit more about this and what was required to win that grant?
Yeah, so the Horizon 2020 SME instrument is a great program supported by the European Commission. And I guess it was a little bit ironic that from a country that's going through Brexit, we actually felt very honored to be involved and very pleased to be involved. And we were treated just the same as everybody else. There were thousands of applicants for this. And we knew only 3% of companies actually win anything. But we were very fortunate. We won 3 million euros in this program, which is supporting our preclinical development and will support our first in human study as well. So it's an ongoing process. So we had to go through this. We had to make a very strong application. We had to have a very good, robust business plan, well laid out, but easy to understand in everyday language. So that's a very important point to consider. And we had to show the value to society. So not only just a good business plan, but a good economic program that shows savings to hospitals across the European community. And we were able to do that. And I think that's what helped us to be shortlisted. We showed very clear timelines that we would have to meet. And of course, you submit your application. A very large panel of experts looks at this, experts from industry, experts from investment, medical experts as well, and others. And they come back with many questions. And you have to answer those questions in a timely manner, in detail, and then convince them. And then if you're successful, then you go to present in Brussels. So we then prepared to present. We had to present to a panel of about 15 people. You get literally half an hour to present and answer about 10 questions being fired at you. So you really have to think about preempting what type of questions, what difficult things will come up. You have to, as a team, you have 3 members who can go usually. So you have to know your role in the team to do that, and how to field the questions for the appropriate person to answer. So a lot of planning has to go into that. We were successful. We heard within a week that we'd been successful. But of course, it doesn't end there, because then the due diligence starts on your company or your legal documentation, your financial information. And actually, that was a very, very stringent process to go through, which actually took longer than the application to win the grant. And then, you go through that and you finally get your grant agreement to legally sign, and then your work starts, and you have to make sure you're reporting and building up very good documentation to support your periodic reports. It's a great program, and we're very privileged to be supported by that. For investors, it's great news because it's non-dilutive grant funding. And ultimately, when we bring our technology to the market, it will have helped us, and we can give back to the European community and hopefully save thousands and thousands of lives.
Yes, definitely. I can imagine. I remember when I went to Brussels myself as a journalist, I remember how rigorous and very regulated everything was. And and I'm obviously very happy for you. You seem to be having a lot of success with your Spinout and the research you guys are doing. What do you see in the future of Spinouts? Do you think that there's a strong foundation that can be built upon?
Well, I think if anything has happened, the COVID-19 crisis has really focused the attention on the importance of innovation, the importance of health care. So, I think spinouts are all about, innovation. So I think the environment will be more receptive to spinouts. I think it will encourage governments to be more open to creating innovative ways of supporting companies to get started. I think more investors are looking for opportunities. So I think in that sense, overall, although it's going to be very, very challenging and we still don't know what is around the corner in 2-3 weeks from now, whatever, it's always changing. I think there are going to be some great opportunities. I think a lot will depend on the product and the type of business that one is developing, but I think healthcare is a great space to be involved in. I think companies will have to be prepared to be nimble and to be prepared to pivot the business strategy as well. I think organizations will have to be even more resilient than before, and have great people around you. So as you're building your team, take time to pick the right people, not only with the right technical skill sets and so on, the right credentials, qualifications, but also the right ethical approach to business, the right ethical approach to working as a team, because this has really shown how people have to support each other through these challenging times. And I think if you can do that, you have a great chance to be successful. And lastly, I think reach out and find good mentors for you. There are many people who've been through challenges and can give you really good advice. So always be prepared to be learning, and then you can make the best of the opportunities.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's definitely very important to get the word out there that such important research is being done. Hopefully you get the exposure you need, Mike, particularly, and this is really important for the viewers looking in, you tune into our MedTech and MedCan Digital Summit and tune into what Mike has to share for us. Thanks again, Mike, for your time and your insight, and we'll see you in October.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Looking forward to joining the summit and meeting more people.